Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, guys, so I want you guys to open up the Yahoo article, right?
Yeah.
Remember, so we talked about this article last week, right? So I just wanted to kind of go over it with you and kind of see kind of what some of the things that you guys thought that was interesting from the article, and also, of course, to go over what you guys thought, if there were some difficult things that you guys had like difficulty like understanding. So why don't we start? What are so first of all, who read the article? Shane, did you read the article? Minsu, did you read the article? Okay, no worries. That's fine. So for those of you who did read the article, which would be Shin in this case, Shin, this is an interesting article, right? It's about Yahoo. Now you guys are familiar with Yahoo, the company, right? Yahoo for the last 10 to 15 years, ever since Google kind of became so popular, like it's struggled a lot. The company has struggled a lot, right? So every year they've had more and more trouble. The company's value has gone lower and lower. So this article talks about fearlessness, right? Kind of what does Yahoo have to do to become successful again? So Shin, why don't you tell me, what are some of the things that you thought you learned? What were some of the things that were really interesting from this article? Well, tell me something. What's Yahoo's current situation? What would you say about their current situation?
Bad.
It's kind of bad, right? So basically, so the company is kind of not in a very healthy or stable condition. So this almost sounds like you're talking about a patient in a hospital, right? A healthy or a stable condition, right? So, but this is often used as a way of describing a company's situation, right? And what do you think are some of the reasons? What do you think are some of the reasons why Yahoo, used to be 10, 15 years ago, Yahoo was very, very valuable? Can you find what remember what they said about their revenues and their earnings per share? They had some figures in there, right? Do you remember? Can you find them in the article where they talk about what their revenues were, their quarter four revenues?
The revenues?
Yeah. Do you remember
Yeah. For Yahoo?
Yeah. They talk about Yahoo and they talk about Apple, right?
Yeah. In the last sentence?
Yeah. Q4. What are the figures? Can you read them for me, Shen?
1.17 billion.
So let's just say $1.8 billion, right? And what's their EPS, their earnings per share?
0.2 points. Yeah.
0.24, right?
Yeah.
What about Apple?
46 billion.
46 billion, right? And their EPS?
40.
40.
Yeah.
Almost 40, right? So let's just say 40.
Why is it
14.
14, yeah. That was a little high. So EPS means?
Like Q4.
Q4 means fourth quarter, right? So I'll define both of these. Fourth quarter. So often when you read the newspaper about financial news, right, they divide the year up into quarters, right?
Yeah.
So each quarter, how many months are there in a year? 12 months. So how long would each quarter be?
4
Well, there's 4 quarters. How many months are in one quarter? 3 months, right? So what do you think the fourth quarter is? Which months do you think the fourth quarter is? Last 3, right? So that would be October, November, December, right? So fourth quarter, October through December, right? And sometimes it can also be like November through January. Some companies, like their calendar is January to January, right? So, but generally speaking, let's just assume it's October to December, right? EPS means earnings per share. Right? And this is like stuff, if you guys take the finance class, like they go into this stuff in a lot more detail. But earnings per share is basically, it's a measure of how well the company's shares are doing. So you guys understand like the stock market, right? So this is a measure of how, a high earnings per share means that the stock is very healthy, right? That means it's very valuable. The stock is basically very valuable. And a low earnings per share really means that you're holding the stock, but the stock isn't gaining much value, basically, right? So over time, what you want is you buy something, you buy a stock, right? And every year you want the value of the stock to increase, right? That's why people invest in the stock market, right? So if you had invested in Apple, basically the EPS number is really high. I mean, just look at the difference. This is like more than, this is more than 100, this is like almost 1,000 times what Yahoo's at, right? Even look at the revenues. In one quarter, Apple made $46 billion. In that same quarter, Yahoo didn't even make $2 billion, right? So the numbers, the difference in the numbers is really staggering, right? Apple is a company that, when you think of Apple, what do you think of? What do you think of? Conan, when you think of Apple, what do you think of? What comes to mind when you think of Apple? They're creative, right? That's a good point, right? Apple, they're creative, right? Do they come out, do they have a lot of products? Are there a lot of Apple products? Right? There are, right? Every year they come out with a new iPhone. They might come out with a new iPad, right? New types of laptops. They have Apple TV. They're very creative, right? They think of different ways to create new products, right? But what about Yahoo? When you think of Yahoo, what is Yahoo, first of all? It's just a website, right? Right? It's a search engine. Yahoo is like good for news, right? You can get all kinds of news on there, right? But it's basically like a website. They have Yahoo Shopping, but does anyone even use that? Not really. If you want to buy something online, you'll go to Amazon, or you'll go to Rakuten, or you'll go to like any of these other sites, right? People don't really use Yahoo for those things. And the problem is, Yahoo doesn't just compete with Apple, right? Yahoo competes with Microsoft. Yahoo also competes with Google. So Microsoft is like, you know, they're a huge company. Yahoo obviously isn't as big. But Apple and Google are two companies that are growing really, really fast, right? When you think about them, you think of creativity, right? They have a lot of products. They release new products every single year. There's a reason why these numbers are so high. But Yahoo's sort of been, I think, the word that best describes them is stagnant. This word basically means you're stuck. You know what I mean? It means yeah, I mean, stagnant means you're not moving. You know, so like think about Google. Google's moving forward, right? Google might be buying Motorola. You know Motorola, the cell phone company? They might be buying them for close to $13 billion. That's a huge move for them, right? Because they're trying to compete with the iPhone. They want to create like Android phones, like real Android phones, not just Samsung phones. They want to make their own phones, basically, right? Apple, of course, is moving forward. They've been moving forward for the last 15 years at a dramatic pace. But Yahoo just seems kind of stagnant. They seem like they don't really know what they want to do. They don't really understand how can we compete, right, with these companies that are either huge, right, or they're growing at a really high pace, right? So they don't really know what to do. So what are some of the things that the article talks about, Shin? Well, let's talk about some of the things that the article talks about.
So they resist the need to change themselves.
It's a huge point, right? When you resist something, right? When you resist something, right? What you're doing is you're saying, no, we're not going to change. So this is a problem for them, right? They resist change, right? If somebody wants to come up with a new idea that I think we should try to open a new line of business, right? We should try to maybe come up with our own type of device. We should change our website, right? The people who make decisions at Yahoo, the executives, right? like this is the chief executive officer and stuff, they're resisting change. They're saying we're not going to change. We think that we're fine even though our share prices have fallen, right? We think we're fine. So they resist change, so that's a huge point. What are some of the stages in, now the article talks about the pattern of failing organizations, right? What are some of the stages? So what are some of the stages of these companies as they make decisions? You know, when a company is failing, when a large company like Yahoo is failing, it talks about that, right? It talks about some of the stages. Why don't we talk about some of those stages? Right? Stages of a failing company. It's on the first page, I believe. What are some of the things they talk about? Denial. That's the first stage, right? When you deny something, right, the act of denying something. Denial, right, is a word. Have you guys seen this word before? Denial. Right? Denial is the act of denying. When you deny something, Minsu, when you deny something, what are you doing? When you deny something, what are you saying? No. Right? Exactly. That's exactly it. When you deny something, you're saying no. Right? So over here, what they're saying is that Yahoo, like a lot of big companies, right? A company that, let's say, is really, really big, has been famous for a long time, but their sales start to drop. Right? They're not doing as well as they used to. The first step is denial. They're saying, well, no, there's nothing wrong. This is just someone else's fault, or this is like a market's problem, right? Something happened in the world and our customers don't want our product anymore, right? So the first step is denial. It's interesting, isn't it? What's the next step? You guys see it? Right in the next paragraph. I'll help you guys out. Resistance, right? Do you see that? Look at the, see the sentence that starts resistance typically follows? Right? Resistance. This is probably another word that you guys have seen. When you resist something, once again, it's kind of like, now this is not someone telling you something that your sales are dropping and that's a problem. There you're denying. You're just saying, no, that's because of this world event, or it's because something else. It's not our fault. We didn't do anything wrong, right? Resistance is the second stage, where other people in your company, within, let's say, Yahoo, are coming to the people who make decisions, right? The executives. And they're saying, you know, maybe we should start thinking about what our competition is doing, right? Maybe we should start looking at Google, right? Maybe we should start looking at Microsoft. We should start thinking about what are they doing that we're not doing. Because clearly something is happening. But the people who are making decisions, right, they're showing a lot of resistance. They're saying, no, we still don't think we need to change anything. We think everyone else is wrong, right? Basically, that's a good way of writing it, right? Basically, what they're saying is everyone else is wrong. Right? They're saying that it's not, once again, this is the classic mentality. It's other people's fault, right? It's not our fault. Everyone else is wrong. And so that's interesting, right? What's the next step?